Hello.
Hi.
How are you?
Good.
Did you guys miss us?
You did. I know you did. Welcome back to another episode of On the DL. My name is Danielle.
And I'm Linda.
What's up, guys? We miss you.
I missed you guys.
Like
Nobody
so much.
speaks to us, but you know what I mean?
Nobody even asked me where we were. Actually, no,
No.
I did have a couple of people ask, when's the next episode coming out?
Yeah,
And
I
I'm
had somebody say, they're like, what am I supposed to do on my Mondays? Are you guys like not recording? And I'm like, no, we are. We're just a little hiatus, but we're back.
yeah,
And better than ever.
back and better than ever. I think that next year we'll probably take the entire month of August off again, but we'll prepare for it this time.
Yes, absolutely.
Because we were not prepared.
No,
We genuinely thought, yeah, we'll be able to get in the studio.
it did not happen. Clearly, and you guys got the brunt of that, and we are sorry, but we're back. And again, better than ever with a lot of new content. We're going to continue doing conspiracy theories. We're actually going to be doing one today, so you will be
Yay.
getting this next week. We're going to start with a conspiracy theory because we haven't done one in a really long time.
Yeah.
And I get a lot of good feedback from you guys liking the conspiracy theories. And I actually learn a lot through these conspiracy
We like
theories.
learning here.
No, I literally don't, but
Oh, I like to learn.
I don't. It's just my brain doesn't retain information properly.
learn.
Like my brain just doesn't retain information properly. But regardless, we're going to do a conspiracy episode today.
Okay.
The conspiracy. Have you ever heard of the conspiracy of Walt Disney being cryogenically frozen?
I have. I have. It was like a big thing like back in, I don't know, the 90s. You remember Beavis and Butthead?
Mm-hmm.
And Beavis and Butthead had a spin-off called Daria.
Okay, I don't know
And that was like a joke on like Daria when they were doing like, I'm going to the picnic and I'm bringing, and it's like you had to start with like A, B, and they were all doing like weird shit. And one of them
Okay.
was the cryogenically frozen head of Walt Disney. And I just assumed that that was like real because like why would Daria steer me wrong? So I just assumed that Walt Disney's head was cryogenically frozen, not his body, just the head. I don't know what they're going to do with the head.
So the theory is actually that his whole body was cryogenically frozen. People, you know, it's like a game of telephone. By the time it got to us, it was like all types of
The cryogenically head.
because there was a lot of at the parks. They were like, oh, he's back, and it was just like a head in a box.
Oh, geez.
So it just like kind of like started. But I'm gonna get into it. I'm gonna get into this conspiracy because I actually learned a lot. I kind of said something to you earlier, which I never knew about. You could have told me that Walt Disney, that's not even his real name. I'd be like, okay. Like, I know nothing about this man.
Okay.
I knew nothing about this man.
The man behind the mouse.
Didn't give a fuck about this man. But here we are. We're going to talk about the conspiracy of Walt Disney being cryogenically frozen.
Okay.
I'm going to give a little bit of a background on who Walt Disney was. First of all, his middle name was like Elias.
Cute.
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 He was born in Chicago
Okay.
in 1901.
Oh,
This
shit.
dude is old as fuck if he is frozen.
But he lived till 1966.
He was 65 years old when he died.
Yeah.
But so he was born in Chicago. He didn't move around a lot, but he did end up moving to Missouri for a little while.
Missouri.
Yeah. He lived in Kansas City for a little bit where he basically I'm going to talk about his early childhood. I mean, he had 5 siblings.
Okay.
He was married to one woman his entire life from 1923 to like till the day he died.
Oh, so he got married young.
Yeah, he got married very, very young. It was also around the time when he started really getting into illustration and animation and everything.
Mm-hmm.
Funny thing about since we're on the topic of his marriage, his wife, nobody was really a fan of her.
Oh.
She like supported him in like the way that, you know, back in like the 20s, you had to support your husband. You know what I mean? Like, yeah, whatever he does, like, it's fine, whatever. She wasn't into it, though. She wasn't into movies. She wasn't into the animation. She, like, wasn't into it, but she's like, whatever, I'm just here to support and, like, take care of the household. Like, it was a very weird... I was, like, reading a few things on, like, people who have said things in the past that obviously, like, resurfaced, and a lot of people, like, didn't like her.
Okay.
But so he was living in Missouri. He goes off to war. He couldn't get into like the army because he was too young. He ends up enlisting with Red Cross, and then he gets stationed overseas in London, I believe.
Okay.
I think it was London. He comes back and he starts working as an apprentice for an illustration company, basically. He starts working for this company, and even while he was abroad, he was always like drawing, and he was always, you know what I mean, mocking up things like in the ambulance truck. He was always like drawing stuff. So he was always into it. And then he moves back to Kansas City where he's an apprentice, and he starts putting animation behind cartoons. So once he starts doing that, it starts like gaining traction. He ends up moving back to Chicago, where he then attends school for fine arts. It's like the Chicago Institute for Fine Arts. And he gets really into it, basically.
Okay.
They end up moving to LA. That's where, which I did not know this. I didn't know that Playland came first. Sorry, not Playland.
Disneyland.
Disneyland
So
came
Disneyland
first.
in Anaheim, California.
Came first. I always thought Disney World came first, not Disneyland in California.
Okay. Yeah.
So he opens up Disneyland in California in 1955.
Okay.
So not long before his death does he actually open it, right?
Yeah.
He starts getting into, he's like, oh, I want to go into, because he was doing like fairs for like the Olympics, and he was doing a lot of work, and I think his first ever film was Snow White.
Yes.
And then the dwarfs.
The 7 dwarfs, yes.
Yeah, so like those were his like first illustrations, like animated movies that he made. So then he was like, I want to get into like the parks. He's like, I want to get into like that field. So he opens up, I keep saying Playland, Disneyland in Anaheim, California. He wants to expand, and California's like, no, you're not allowed to. So then he's like, all right, I'm going to go East Coast. What better place to do it than Florida? And he was like, I'm going to bring jobs to this area. I'm going to bring, tourists into this area. They're like, do whatever the fuck you want. He dies before it's finished. Yeah. Before Epcot's finished, like before any of it's finished, he ends up passing away. So now there's a lot of documentaries that come out about Walt Disney later on, obviously, like, and they talk about who he really was. So this is important because I feel like a lot of people can look at the story as a whole on who he is, or was, like who he was as a person, and be like, yeah, that motherfucker definitely was the type of person to be like, fuck yeah, like, let me be frozen, right? Like, let me be cryogenically frozen. So he had like, it's funny because I was reading it and all I kept thinking about was Hannah Montana.
Okay.
Where like Hannah Montana is like one person, but then she's actually somebody else with other people. That basically Walt Disney was Hannah Montana, like the original Hannah Montana.
Or like Jekyll and Hyde.
Yes. Basically. So he was like extremely insecure. He wasn't like the nicest guy, and he was very self-centered.
Okay.
So there were a lot of illustrations. So I went down the rabbit hole on people who genuinely fucking hate Walt Disney. There are people who hate this man.
Didn't he like steal like ideas from people, and that's how he made the money?
Yes. Well, a lot of them were his ideas. Come to find out, he's not good at drawing. So he had these ideas. Other people started drawing them, and he was taking credit for all of them.
Okay.
So now where it gets really fucked up is that there is some movies that come out under, Walt Disney where he didn't do anything for them. And he was hiring all these people to like mainly males. Like that was like another thing. Like he would only hire males because he only trusted males, which rabbit hole, it kept debunking. And then people were like, no, this is true, debunked. But his wife was actually an illustrator who started working for him, like not working for him, but when he was an apprentice, they kind of started working together, whatever. There were a lot of films that he really didn't even work on, that he was like completely taking credit for. I mean, this man was nominated for Emmys. He won Golden Globes. He won so many fucking awards. it's insane. So a lot of people hate him for that. Now, there was a lot of talks of him being racist and anti-Semitic and like this big patriarch. And a lot of people are trying to attack like his stance on like politics, but he was a registered Democrat. So it's like, I don't know, there was like a weird angle there where it kept getting debunked where he was like, he wasn't racist. He wasn't anti-Semitic.
Think about the time that he was living in.
Yeah, but you know what? If we start making that excuse for fucking
I'm not
progressed.
making excuses. I'm just saying that that's what it like. That's
like
what it was. That was
Yeah.
like a normal thing. So for him to be racist and for anyone to be surprised makes me surprised that you're surprised. Like, why would you be surprised that this white man has an issue with any other race other than other white person?
Yeah,
it was
and
like
females.
it was I don't even know when, like, what was it, like the separate but equal thing? I don't even know when that went away. I need to do better with my U.S. history, but like it was like that through maybe even through the 50s.
Yeah, 100%.
You know
that didn't really stop until like the 70s.
See, so like the separate but equal, yeah, like that's still a very racist way to be. So
Yeah.
even somebody that's just like living and minding their own business in that era could be seen as racist because that's just the way that it
the
was.
norm. Like, yeah, they didn't know any better. Nobody was paving the way yet. Like nobody was like, oh, I think the where I stand with that is like, you're such an optimist and you're so creative and you're this and that. And it's like, you didn't go against the grain. There were so many people who were going against the grain, right? It's like, how is there no tiny bit of like progression? Like even with like the female thing, I was like, that's so strange. You know what I mean? For him to only be, you know, hiring males or not letting women progress past like, you have to color inside the lines and like that's your only job, like is to color within like the lines.
It just seems like par for the course for a man that had any kind of power in that era.
Yeah,
that's just in my brain. I'm like, tracks. That
yeah,
tracks.
yeah. You're like that.
Makes sense because like that's how it was. You know,
yeah.
like, you know, no,
and
no
it's such a terrible.
Yeah, made.
It's 1966. So Disney World opens. And a year later, he ends up passing away.
Okay.
So like I said, it never finished. Disney World never finished before he died.
Was it Magic Kingdom that got put up? Like, what was the first park?
Yeah.
It was Magic Kingdom?
Yeah. So now that's where the conspiracy kind of comes together, right?
Okay.
So to people, he comes off as like really, really shy. And he comes off as like, oh, like I'm just super friendly and I'm super shy. He starts getting into character, right? Like when you're around it all the time and you're creating these characters and you're writing about these characters and it's all made up in your head, you start creating a character for yourself. He creates this whole entire persona.
Okay.
That people see, and he's around in the parks, right? Like when he's in Disneyland, like he's around in the parks and he's talking to people and everyone's like, oh my God, he's the nicest guy ever. And he's so shy and he's so humble and this, that, and the other. And then there was the other side of it. People who knew him personally, they're like, he's not like that. And he would say, he's like, Walt Disney that you know doesn't drink or smoke. I drink and smoke.
Oh.
So he had like, his whole thing was like, those are two separate people. Like, he was very vocal about the fact that like, don't compare me to Walt Disney. And they're like, but you literally are Walt Disney.
Don't get it twisted.
So that's why I said, I was like, he's the original Hannah Montana. He had like two different personalities. So like that that part of him was just, he didn't care who he had to step on to get, you know what I mean, ahead. He really didn't care. He took credit for a lot of people's shit, a lot of his movies. And again, we can be like, he's a piece of shit. He created Disneyland. He created Disney World, regardless if that is literally the face behind it. That's what we're going to know. That's what our kids are going to know, so on and so forth. Now, before he dies, before it's finished, right?
Mm-hmm.
I looked at it, everything that I was reading, I was like, this is like a pompous asshole. Like, he was just so classic. Like, I wouldn't say narcissist. I mean, we're all a little narcissist, but like, it was like a level of, I don't know, it was weird. Everything that I was reading, I was like, okay, now that I know a little bit about who he was, I could believe that he was like, nah, you can use me for science and like bring me back later. Like, he's like, use me. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? So he dies at 65 from lung cancer. Because again, he was
smoking.
Because he was a heavy smoker. He was a heavy smoker, and he was a pretty heavy drinker, but he ends up passing away. So now this conspiracy just fucking starts to take shape, right? Because Magic Kingdom's finishing, or it's finished. They're like, no way can Walt Disney just up and leave a year into building Disney World. It's Walt Disney. He can't die. There's no way. Just like when they were like, oh, Steve Jobs like died from cancer. I was like, he is living in Bermuda somewhere. Okay. There's no way he just died. You can't just die. You know what I mean? It's just, there's like a level of, mortality that people get obsessed with.
Okay.
It's like this, like, especially with somebody like that high profile, you're like, no way. Like, you get obsessed with the unknown, or that's why like cryonics, people were like, it's like this level of like being hopeful and like clinging on to this hope that like, no, that's not the end of that. We need more from this guy. So people start creating this fucking story that this man gets cryogenically frozen in Cinderella's castle. Under Cinderella's castle.
I heard that.
This one guy gets on Joe Rogan, which
I
idiot.
saw that podcast.
This fucking idiot has the weirdest. Every single time I go down a conspiracy, I always come across a Joe Rogan fucking episode, and the people he has on these episodes are fucking insane. So this guy comes on and he's like, I was in Cinderella's castle. I saw his frozen body.
No, you didn't.
He was there. And I got chased, and I found this spiral staircase, and I ran away, and I lost him, and I got out, and I can't ever look at it the same. I hope you guys find that fucking video, because I was watching this, and I watched it a couple times. I'm like, no way is somebody looking at it. And then, of course, Joe Rogan, fucking idiot, is on the other side. No way! Like, that's so crazy. Like, he's so excited that he's like, you got into Cinderella's castle, and you saw his body? Like, what? So it starts spinning off, and then there was, I don't remember the year, but there was a year where Disney World was like, we're going to have like a little pop-up of Walt Disney's head animated in a box.
That's fucking weird.
And everybody's like, okay. So then the conspiracy just keeps taking shape, and people are like, no, I saw it. No, he wanted to be frozen, and he wanted to be frozen. And the doctors, what was said was that the doctors were like, there will be a cure for lung cancer. We don't have it right now. So we can freeze you. We can do that. And then we can bring you back when we find a cure for lung cancer.
Well, back then, they didn't even have a successful way to resuscitate anyone.
Oh my God, that's right.
That their heart was stopped.
Right.
Like, so for this to make any kind of sense, he had to have known, okay, well, he was dying anyway.
Yeah.
So if you're going to die, and we can freeze you, and we might be able to resuscitate you if there ever is a cure for lung cancer. And it's kind of like, if your heart stops, there really wasn't any, especially in 1966, there was no, you were done. There's no coming back.
You're done
from that. Now, I think, obviously, how many years later is that? A lot of years later.
A lot.
So many years later, there are ways to be resuscitated if your heart stops. And I wouldn't say it's like routine, but it happens. I don't even know if there's any record of anyone that's been frozen that's been brought back to life. Is there?
No.
Okay.
There is absolutely zero proof that an animal or a person was brought back successfully. They have tried to freeze people and animals. That is a thing. Like the cryonics, dive into that. That's a thing. You got to be submerged in this freezing. It's like below negative
200 degrees Fahrenheit.
And you have to be submerged in this ice cold water for however long. I don't even remember how long it is. And then you have to be injected with certain things and to preserve your insides, and then you're cryogenically frozen, and then they pump liquid nitrogen into your chamber to make sure it stays at a certain temperature. Like, it's like this whole entire thing. But if you're ever defrosted, I don't know what the right term is, but I'm going to use defrosted for educational purposes.
Defrosted. Would you just like melt?
Right. And you're like, meh. What they were saying is like the way that you would have to realign nerves and tissue that's been broken is impossible.
Also, it's atrophied. Like if your muscles are not being used, if they don't move, they die. That's like you see that a lot with people that are paraplegics.
Yeah.
Like their muscles, if you're not moving them, that's why they have to do like physical therapy.
Yeah,
because
yeah,
if
you have to
you're
keep
not
moving.
moving them, they die. They
Yeah.
atrophy. So
Yeah.
like
So they were basically saying like it's impossible to like today, 2024, it's not possible to successfully defrost somebody. Like you just can't. So his family does come out and they say, okay, guys, hi. Yeah, no, we have his remains. He was cremated. We have his remains. Like he's not frozen. And people just don't want to believe it because then the movie Frozen comes out. So this conspiracy has been around for a very long time.
Mhm.
This conspiracy has been around literally since he died.
yeah, the 60s.
Literally since he died. But it started gaining traction right around the time that the movie Frozen comes out, right? Because also social media
Yep.
is we're all on our phones around this time. We're all TikTok was I remember when TikTok first came out, I was like, what the fuck is this thing? And now it's like every single person is on TikTok. Everyone is on TikTok. Everybody's using TikTok. So this story, this conspiracy gains traction again. And then boom, Walt Disney Frozen comes out. The movie Frozen comes out.
That came out in 2013, just so
Side note,
you know.
side note, just like a real side note here, which makes sense because I had just graduated like high school. Side note, Elsa and Tarzan and what's the other one? What's the sister's name? Anna. They're all related.
What?
Yeah. So there was like the director came out and was like, is it true that like, because obviously Disney weirdos are like fucking trying to put pieces together like the Game of Thrones people. They're like, this is a family and this is how they put it together and they're like, is it true like that they're related? And they're like, technically, yes, they have the same parents. Crazy. You can deep dive on that.
So they left Tarzan in a jungle, and the
Yes.
other two girls are princesses?
Yes. So it was like this whole entire thing. Ariel somehow comes into that too.
She's a fish.
The director, she is a siren.
She's a half a fish.
She is a mermaid.
Mermaid.
She's a mermaid. His brother was a princess.
And what was her sister?
So anyway, so this movie comes out. So then when this story takes, gains traction, right? And everyone's like, what? Wait, is there, right? Because it brings hope into people. Like, we could potentially be frozen and be brought back to life. Like, everybody starts getting obsessed with this because it's like, if you have enough money, can I be frozen?
Yeah,
can I be brought back to
absolutely.
life? You know what I mean? Can I just freeze right now? Can you freeze my head? Like, what are we freezing to come back to life later? Like, you know what I mean? Do you just stick my head a robot?
A
like,
robot body, yeah.
What's going on here? You know what I mean? So, like, everybody starts getting obsessed because, again, this fascination with mortality and the fascination with cryonics and it's this level of hope that everybody's like, oh my God. So everybody gets obsessed with it. The movie comes out. When you start trying to look into Walt Disney Frozen, and I've never seen the movie, but I have seen so much that I basically feel like I've seen the movie.
Same.
Because I think it was the movie that generated the most amount of revenue.
Oh, really?
Still generates so much revenue. The amount of toys that came out, the amount of whatever, and then the second one gained even more. It was nuts. So Walt Disney Frozen, the movie just Frozen comes out, and it's everywhere. You can't escape Frozen. You can't escape the fucking movie. I still can't.
Let it go. Let it go.
No, stop it. You can't escape it. It's everywhere. If you've never seen it, like I said, I basically feel like I've seen it because I've literally, the costumes, the whatever, everybody's obsessed. The kids are fucking obsessed with it. So are adults. They're obsessed with Frozen. So when people start trying to like Google, they can't find Walt Disney Frozen. If you just put Disney Frozen, it's the movie. If you put Walt Disney Frozen head, it's a costume head of Elsa. You know what I mean? Or like Walt Disney Frozen body. It's like costumes. You know what I mean? Like you start trying to like try and find it. It's like these like little key words that they were like, all right, well, so that's, and then the conspiracy gets bigger and bigger. And they're like, they're trying to hide it. They're trying to hide the fact that he's frozen. Again, with trying to be cryogenically frozen, it's never been successful.
What if they just like froze the head and kept the brain on ice? That would like totally eliminate.
Like a fucking shrimp cocktail?
Yeah, they would totally eliminate the lung cancer. Like he wouldn't have the lungs.
Yeah, what do you need
And
the
then
body for?
And then you take the head and you put it on a robot body.
But then you'd have to connect everything that's been frozen for so long. I mean, think about the tissue that's damaged. Think about the amount of damaged tissue and
like
nerve
if
endings.
you're just doing the head, just the head,
okay.
and you have a robot body, that's fine. The body's fine
Mm-hmm.
because it's a robot body. We really just need the brain.
Yeah.
And the brain just needs to attach to the robot spine. And I'm sure you can just like inject it with something.
Well, that's what they were saying. Like, even when you defrost somebody, you have to like inject them with so many things. But again, you'd have to literally fix tissue that is now broken.
That's been frozen.
Yes.
Yeah. No, I get that. But then the family wouldn't be lying. They'd be like, no, he was cremated because they have his body. So they're not lying.
They're not lying.
The
have body was cremated.
We have his cremated. No, well, he was buried. He was buried in somewhere in California. Fuck, I forgot the name of the town he was buried in. So the cremated body was buried in wherever California, Santa Ana, I don't know, somewhere in California, and the head is still in Cinderella's castle. Listen,
Under Cinderella's castle.
This could be a thing. Have we? I mean, do you think that there's a way to get down there? Because you know that.
Well, I mean, this guy seems to have just walked right the fuck in.
Well, here's the thing. With Disney World, and you know, I've heard a bunch of different interviews with the cast members that work at Disney World.
There's some shit that goes down in Disney
They're
World.
not allowed to just like walk around from place to place
they're being
above
watched.
ground. There is an entire network of underground tunnels that they travel so nobody can see like a cast member without their costume, without their fucking big old head, like because you know that takes away from the magic, and that's like super important for Disney to keep up the front. Yeah. So a cast member is always acting, even if it's just the gardener.
When he's shitting on the side of the building.
What? Wait, what? Who's doing that?
So
what are you talking about?
Okay, so when I was deep diving in Disney conspiracies, that was one of them, that the cast, like the members, like the workers that were like dressed, like they weren't allowed to wait in these long lines to use the bathrooms.
No.
So they were starting to like poop and pee in the bushes and stuff like behind the buildings.
Okay, no, I think that I don't know. That place is so heavily cameraed. I don't think that anyone
highly doubt it
to get away with it. But it's like underground. So all of wherever they need to go is nowhere on where any guest can ever be. Yeah. So you know, there's key cards and there's security.
Of course. That's just like, I wouldn't be surprised if it's like armed like a military base.
Yeah, like
down
Fort
there.
Knox.
Yeah,
literally.
I wouldn't be surprised.
It's not easy to get backstage underground, wherever anything you're not supposed to see. It is so hard to get to it. And I was in Disneyland 2 years ago, and I wanted to go. There's like this haunted mansion ride that I just like love, and it was like getting close to Halloween, and I was like, oh, like we should like go on that. And it was closed.
Was this in Disneyland?
Disneyland when I was in California. So there's two parks. There's
Universal.
It's not Magic Kingdom. It's not called Magic Kingdom. It's like Adventure Park and like another park. But there's only two parks in California because it's so small. And the one that I wanted to go to had Splash Mountain because like I have to go on Splash Mountain. But I wanted to also go on the Haunted Mansion and it was closed. And the fences were so high with like all their vines. And we stood on a bench to try to look over. And do you know how fast we fucking got yelled at?
Really?
Like it's like they were watching us the whole time, but I didn't see anybody. I'm like, where'd you come from?
Yeah,
I just wanted to look.
It's like an airport. No, like the casinos.
eye in the sky, bitch. They don't fuck around.
It's literally like the casinos. Like, I've left my wallet and like walked over 5 steps, and they're like, "Ma'am, your wallet." I'm like, "Where the fuck did you just come from?"
That's scary.
They're like, "We saw it." What the fuck?
That's like Mr. Deeds. You ever see that movie, Mr.
No.
Deeds, where he comes out and he wants to change the guy's socks, and he literally comes out of nowhere. He's like, "Where'd you come from?" He goes, "I am very sneaky."
Literally, that's how they. That is wild. I
Yeah,
would have been
we got yelled
terrified.
at so quick. I was like, "Oh my God, I'm sorry."
You're
But
like, I just
where'd
wanted to see.
you, but like, where'd you come from?
Like,
Where'd you come
and
from?
he's like, "I'm really sneaky."
He was so sneaky, but yeah, I was like, "Oh, okay." Like, we should probably
That's
leave.
fucking terrifying. I mean, I was only in Disney. I was in Disney World
Okay.
once as an adult, 7-8 years ago, and that was actually really, really fun. But I didn't feel the magic. I felt the heat. It was hot as fuck. I went in August.
Oh my God. Don't go to Florida. Here's a little PSA for anyone that's from the Northeast or literally anywhere other than the South, because the South gets it.
Mm-hmm.
Do not go to Florida anytime after April or anytime before like October.
Yes, but
Don't do that.
I have to tell you, although it was hot, and you could have your little portable fan and shade, and they have like little sprinklers going off during that time.
Yeah, so people don't die.
I was an adult. I could take care of myself. There were no lines anywhere. I got to go on the Harry Potter, like the 2 colored, the orange dragon and the blue dragon. I got off and went right back on. And those lines are usually insane. 3 times, because nobody's there. Like, nobody was there. So if you don't care about the heat, go in fucking August, because no one's there. I didn't have to kick any fucking kids, and it was great.
Yeah.
I did every single park in one day.
I was able to do.
I was able to do every single park in one day. Like, I did all of the adult rides, the biggest ones, down to like we ran out. We were like, should we start going on like the kiddie bullshit rides? Because we were able to get onto every single ride because nobody was there. I mean, obviously there were people there, but it wasn't like how everybody's like, good luck trying to get in line. You need the fast pass. And we had the fast pass. You didn't need it. Like I said, we literally got off the Harry Potter rides and like went right back on. I think the longest we ever waited for a ride was 15 minutes. And because our app told us, and it didn't even feel like 15 minutes. It was insane. So if you don't care about the heat and, potentially dying, do go around that time, because ain't nobody's down there. I don't know. I can't seem to understand the adults that have the obsession with Disney World.
Someone asked us to talk about that,
Who?
Someone's like, can we talk about adults and their obsessions with Disney and how she thinks it's creepy. I was like, I mean, I like Disney.
Yeah, but you're not walking around with, like, your house isn't like, oh, I have Minnie Mouse little hand towels and Minnie Mouse little
that's weird.
fucking soap dispensers. People like that freak me the fuck out.
I do have a lot of skulls,
what
though.
are you hiding? Like, is there something in your childhood that you're just trying to hold on to? Like, that magic is like you hate reality? Like, what is the issue? I get that, like, people have, like, we all have, like, our little obsessions with things. But, like, I will never wrap my head around the adult Disney people. They freak me the fuck out.
I'm actually going to talk about this in the next episode, but I'm going to touch on it a little bit here. People sometimes hold on to something that they feel like is the happiest time in their life. So maybe the
if
Disney
that's the
magic
happiest time in your life
when you're a child and you have to keep it through. Like, there's something that I've learned a lot. With now I've been 2 years into pretty intensive therapy, is that a lot of people have trouble growing out of their child phase. And I know it sounds like we're, being an adult, you do your adult things, but a lot of times with the way that you're dealing with like disagreements or problems or traumas in your life, you automatically revert back to your childhood, because like you never kind of grew out of how to deal or handle situations properly. So like thinking of, like, maybe Disney was your happiest. I remember when I was a kid, like, my dad used to take us to every single Disney movie when it came out. I remember seeing The Little Mermaid.
I could not be more
The
opposite.
Jungle Book, like all of those. And when it came out on videotape, because that's when it was videotapes, this was back in like the 80s, we had a whole library of Disney movies because I was a girl. I was a little girl and I loved princesses and I wanted to be Ariel, the Little Mermaid. And that's just the way that it was. Even with my daughter, I kind of kept that tradition with taking her to see Disney movies. So, I mean, they were a little bit more advanced, obviously, 20 years later. But she was obsessed with Frozen, and I made sure I always got her like a Disney movie on DVD because at that point it was all DVDs.
Yeah.
And she had a collection of Disney movies when she was a child.
Yeah.
Just because like I remember that feeling with my dad. And I wanted to give it to her. So there's, when you have kids of your own, it's kind of like you'll see it and it's so cute. And you're like, she wants to dress up like little princess. You're like, yeah, of course you can wear the princess outfit wherever you want.
Wherever you want.
Can I wash it or no?
Yeah. You've worn it 4 times. Let's wash it now. And she's like, I'm not taking this thing off.
But as far as like the Walt Disney thing, I don't know. I think there could be a little something that's going on. I think there's a lot more sinister situations.
I'm sorry, but for us to think that there isn't sinister shit happening, think about it. He died before this thing finished. Think about how big Disney World is. Other people acquired it. His brother took over Disney World or Disney LLC, whatever their LLC was, the year that he passed away, right? So like he dies, his brother takes it because he was actually his partner.
Okay.
His brother was actually partners in the company, like in the Disney company. So his brother gets it. Now 2020, 2 other people get it. And then there was like that whole DeSantis thing where DeSantis tried going after fucking Orlando.
You cannot go after Disney. They own too much.
They can think about it. Like Disney World is like its own zip code.
Yep.
It's its own world.
And they're expanding more. They're bringing 3 new parks.
That's fucking insane to me.
Yeah.
That's wild. But like to say that there isn't some sort of corruption, to say that there isn't some sort of shady ass shit going on there, to say that they treat every single employee with respect and love and care and they all have a livable wage is not. I don't believe that for a single fucking second. I just don't believe that. So for somebody to think like, oh, there isn't something going on, it's like you're one of those Disney fanatics, like the adult Disney fanatics. They're like, no, Disney would never do that because Disney's amazing and it's the most magical place in the world. I'm sorry. I don't think that he's frozen. I do not think that Walt Disney's body is frozen.
I think his head's down there. They're keeping that shit in the Cinderella castle.
Do I think they did something other than cremation? Probably, because 1966, for you to be Walt Disney, he was a pioneer for his time, right? Like to get into the parks. Like what other park do you know? I can't name one off the top of my head except for Six Flags. Like
another theme park?
Yeah. Like
Universal Studios is a big one, and then Busch Gardens is another one.
Isn't Universal Studios owned by Disney?
I don't think so.
Are you sure? I'm pretty sure it's owned by Disney.
Wait, what?
I thought Universal Studios was owned by Disney. Universal Studios Park.
I don't know.
Theme park.
Now I have to Google it. Is Universal Studios a part? No, it's not. Although both theme parks are focused on film and television, they're entirely separate. Hollywood Studios is owned by Walt Disney Co., while Universal Studios Florida is owned by NBC Universal. Oh. So no, they are 2 different things. Now let me ask if Busch Gardens, because Busch Gardens is another, but they're like an animal, like.
I don't know what the fuck that is.
What? It's
I don't know what Busch Gardens
I got
is.
to
I thought Busch Gardens was like a restaurant.
Olive Garden?
Oh.
Wait, what? Is Gush? Wait, what? No. Oops. Let's see. No, it's owned and operated by United Parks and Resorts, which also owns SeaWorld. So they're more. So SeaWorld is not Disney or Universal either.
Okay, so somebody from Europe's not going to know about Busch Gardens. They're going to know what Disney World is. They're
well,
there's
know
a
what
Disney
World in Europe. Isn't there
Paris.
Euro Disney? It's in Paris.
So it's like for this one person to have created all of this and bring animation to these cartoons, which, you know, you got to be a little weird to be like that into
what do we have to be?
As a little weird.
Little.
Little.
What? What's with the clicking?
It's just like a... Anyway,
well, it's the same.
I think that there's definitely some cynical shit that happens with everything. Like all that money, all that power. You have your own fucking police.
Well, I mean,
you have your own everything.
You have to think
You're
about
your own world.
This company, this corporation.
You cannot come after them. Good luck.
It's a it's a capitalist machine.
Literally
it's
a machine.
So like yes,
Good luck
maybe the beginnings, maybe the humble beginnings. But I don't even think they're very humble because, like, if he couldn't draw and he was like stealing other people's drawings and making it, there's really not humble beginnings here.
No, and think about it. He was like, "Hey, I want to expand." California said, "We're not going to let you do that because X, Y, and Z is around you, and we can't." He said, "Okay, I'm going to go build it somewhere else," and he does.
Yeah.
And then he goes and makes it bigger and better, and it's now you're telling me there's 3 more. This thing is ginormous.
Yeah, they
already.
just made the announcement that they're doing
and
like
it's so expensive.
Oh
People
my God,
take out fucking loans
to go to
take
Disney
their
World.
kids
I know.
to Disney World. Like they take out loans to go to Disney World
because you want to share it with your kids. Or there's some people I actually follow people that
I
go
just don't
on
understand why it needs to
and
be that
do it
expensive.
themselves. They go, you know, it's just a husband and a wife, and they explore the parks, and they have their own YouTube channel.
You're
and
fucking
they, like,
weird. You're running around with little fucking kids
with
like
the
seek help.
ears, with the ears on.
No, that's ew, I hate that shit.
Boop,
I always look at
Does
people
it-
like
do
that. I'm
these
like,
look like
they're-
Mickey ears? Do they look
like pigtails.
Oh, okay.
I don't know, but the people with like the adults, like with the ears, and they just go with just their partner, no kids. I'm like, what are you doing? It's giving pedophile, and
no,
I
went to
can't.
Disneyland with just my boyfriend 2 years ago, just because I wanted to go on Splash Mountain.
Time out.
I did.
If you're going to the adult like rides, fine.
Okay.
But if you're like, I'm gonna go check out every single thing, like, and I want to just like walk around and look at everything, like if you stop and look at the parade, like I'm judging.
I'm sorry.
I'm
and
judging.
there's fireworks every night. Listen, the way I even went to Disneyland, and I'll tell you the story really quick. We flew in. We were in California for 3 days.
Mm-hmm.
That was it. We went in to see a show at the House of Blues in Anaheim, California.
Okay.
It was Spirit Box
Okay.
and Dayseeker. They were doing this thing called Headbang for Science, and it was like for a charity, whatever it was. We got tickets. I got VIP. I got to meet Spirit Box. It was fucking awesome.
I remember that.
We flew in on a Tuesday. The show was Wednesday. And you know me, taking those stupid early flights. This one can attest to me waking her up at 2 o'clock in the morning so we can get the fuck to the airport.
Mm-hmm.
I took a 6 a.m. flight. Okay. We landed in California at 9 a.m.
Oh, so you hit the ground running. You're like,
So-
what do we got to do?
I got to the hotel and we were staying in Anaheim because I was like, well, we're just going to stay close to like where the show is. We're staying in it. I happened to be able to check in early. They let us check in at like 10 o'clock. I was like, fuck yes, it's another $30. Take my money.
Yeah.
Went up. We were sitting by the pool and I like looked at my boyfriend at the time and I go, do you just like want to hang out by the pool and like take a nap and then go out later? Or do you want to go change right now and go to Disneyland? Because we were down the street from Disneyland.
Yeah.
And he's like, let's go to Disneyland. I was like, fuck yeah, let's go. And we literally changed and we went to Disneyland.
Yeah.
So it wasn't like I flew out to California to go to Disneyland. It was just because and we walked.
Yeah.
We could walk from
Danielle,
our hotel.
that's a fucking different from the fucking couples that go every single year and make it a tradition and like
No.
wear the ears and wear the costumes or wear the whatever. That's fucking different. That is complete. I don't even put that in the same category, dude.
Okay.
I went to Disney World as an adult. I was drunk the entire time.
Did you drink around the world?
Me and Kristen. Me and my best friend. We landed in Orlando. We were doing other work like bridal sitch down there, but we were like, why don't we go to Epcot and drink around the world?
Fuck
we
yeah,
did
let's
it
go.
as adults, and that was fun. Gun to my head, make me wear fucking Mickey Mouse ears.
I have a picture of me with my ears.
I could never.
That was like one of the best
Or like a
memories
little
ever.
hat with a little bing. No.
Oh no, I have
Fuck
the
off.
ears. I kept the ears. Well, obviously, we know why I kept the ears. Like those photos were like
That's
like
different.
that's like a memory that you
Core
can't,
memory.
You cannot recreate that shit. It was literally just like a do you want to do this or do you want to do this?
Sometimes those are the best plans. So.
Yeah, it was like one of the best days ever. And I remember like sitting watching the fireworks and I was like crying. This is like the best day ever. He's like, are you good?
You're watching the fireworks,
like crying.
crying. You're like, I just love this so much.
This is so beautiful.
Yeah, no, that's completely different. I love that story. Beautiful story. I sound like Trump right now.
Beautiful,
Gorgeous story.
amazing.
Everybody said that it's a beautiful story. It's an amazing story.
Everyone
I love
agrees.
this story. Everybody agrees. Ask Joe. He said it's a great story. Completely different from what I'm referring to. I mean, if you can, it's a cult following. The Disney fans are a cult following. It's a cult. Disney World is a cult. I'm sorry.
Do you think they have Illuminati meetings there?
No,
Underneath
that's
the
at the
Cinderella's underneath the Cinderella's castle.
That's at
with Walt Disney's
Denver.
head as like the chair. Do you know what I mean? He's like
speaking.
watching
He's,
everyone
like,
have the
still
meeting.
talking.
No. If people are just like next to him saying, you know what, I understand like the vibes that he's giving, and this is what he's saying we should do. We should take over the world.
Or they took his head, put him on a robot body. They had it like ready for him and like ready to go. Put him on a robot body. He's still living down there. Maybe he had to escape. Maybe there was some kind of legality issues going on and he had to fake his death. They put him on a robot body and he is hosting those Illuminati meetings underneath Cinderella's castle.
Hello? Yes. Can you imagine? I was just thinking, these are the things that I think when I hear things like maybe he got a robot body back in 1966. What do we think a robot body looks like in 1966? Do we think it looks like the Tin Man?
No, it looks like a knight in shining armor.
Or like no, it wouldn't even be as advanced as like the Terminator where he had like the exoskeleton.
No.
Would
I
it be
think it's like literally just metal sheets made into cylinders.
and it's like
Yeah. He can't really grab things because he doesn't have thumbs yet. They're like, oh, my thumbs are coming in 2020. I gotta wait. He's like, sorry.
Because a robot body now would be kind of stunning. I mean, look at the ones that Elon Musk is trying to train to like take care of.
Dude, those things look realistic. They have like
What is
skin.
I'm afraid.
They have like skin.
Do you think that maybe, hold on, hear me out. Do you think that maybe they took Walt Disney and maybe his brain and just made Elon Musk?
No.
Why not?
Because Disney created things. Elon Musk bought things.
Walt Disney stole other people's work and passed it off as his own. Elon Musk steals other people's ideas and passes them off as... I don't know, man. I'm seeing a parallel here.
Maybe it's his secret son. No, because then Elon would be like in his 60s.
No,
70s.
if he was born in 66, like...
Well, no, because he was 65 when he died. I mean,
yeah,
you can have a kid.
He could have had a baby at 65.
That
That
is
means
very
he would
true.
be 58
Maybe
now.
that's why he faked his death.
He had a love child.
This
Listen.
story is getting crazy.
It can get crazier.
But do you see how quick we can create a brand new story? The telephone, the game of telephone with this conspiracy.
It's the telephone
story.
back and forth.
That's
You and me going back and forth because we could just keep going.
I can go on. Like you keep saying things. I'm like, yeah. The Illuminati. I forgot about them.
The Illuminati are in the middle of all this shit. Do you think if somebody was cryogenically frozen that the Illuminati doesn't have anything to do with it? You're fucked up if you think they don't have anything to do with it.
I mean, think about it. You got up on a bench and they were like, down. Like, you got eyes and ears everywhere. They know everything.
Listen, just hide your wives, hide your children.
No, they're not, because they're bringing them to fucking Disney World.
Yeah, stop doing
The
that.
fucking cult that is Disney. And then they, like I said, and then you make it so expensive where like the workers are saying like they're not making a livable wage, but you make everything so expensive to like run the parks, which I kind of get. Like I mean, I don't know how much. Do you know how much Disney World cost?
The last time I was in Disney World, I went to Animal Kingdom. That was like in 2018. That's Disney World, and it cost me, and we got my mom's discount because she lives in Florida, and I think we had to pay $120 each for the day.
Yeah, they're expensive.
But when I went to Disneyland in California, you have to make reservations. It's kind of annoying.
Yeah, they get
And
to do that in Disney World
And
now
since
too.
we did it so last minute, I really wanted to go to Adventure Park. I don't know, whatever park it was that had Splash Mountain. So I had to buy the park hopper pass to get into the other park. And I'm like, okay, so you won't sell me a ticket for the park that I want to go to, but I can get a park hopper pass and just go there? She's like, yeah. I'm like, literally, fuck you. So I had to
go
pay
fuck
$200 a ticket. But like, whatever. I was like, I want to go to this park. That's what I'm doing.
Yeah.
Because once the idea is there,
Yeah, if I don't do it right away, it's not going to happen. But it's just so expensive. And like I said, there's people like between parking and then you got to get a hotel and then it's $15 for a hot dog.
well,
It's
there's
like
packages.
$21 for a bottle of water. Just kidding.
Okay,
I don't know.
it is. It's really expensive,
really
but there's
fucking
there's
expensive.
budget packages where you can like go through and they'll say, okay, just say 5 days. 5 days at Disney, one park per day, and that it does not include the water parks because there's water parks that go on there
Yeah.
too. One park per day, and you can get the meal plan where you get like a snack and like lunch and dinner or something, and then you can like if you're staying in the park, you get transportation. There's like buses and shuttles and stuff, so you can like catch the bus from your park hotel.
This literally, if I ever went to hell after I die, if I'm sent to hell, it's Disney World.
You'd be driving the bus at Disney.
That'd be great.
You'd be
Are you
driving the
kidding
bus.
me? I'd be like the one like sweating. I never thought about that either. Think about it. It's Florida and you're wearing a fucking suit. You're wearing a motherfucking suit in that heat?
Well, especially ones with
Like
the big
Donald
heads.
Duck?
Dude, what about Buzz Lightyear walking around?
Oh my
Can
God.
you imagine the stench
Ew.
inside of that costume?
I wonder if they like have to like they must have like a whole laundry system going on in like the downstairs.
Oh, they have to.
in the underneath.
Yeah, there's an underground network.
For sure.
And
Absolutely.
that's it. That's it.
I don't doubt that for a single second. But anyway, so that is a conspiracy of Walt Disney that he was cryogenically frozen, and the movie Frozen came out to distract us from the fact that Walt Disney was frozen. And now that you know a little bit about who Walt Disney is and how he wasn't the greatest of people, you can kind of make your own assumption. Do I believe that there's some cynical shit that happens in that underground tunnels? Yeah, I do. Do I believe that he's frozen? I don't believe that he's frozen. It just wouldn't make sense. I think they did something bigger. Maybe they sent him to the aliens. They're like, hey, we have this vault. It'll transport you to the aliens. You could live out your life there. Like, I
That's
don't
totally
fucking know.
an Illuminati thing as well.
Yeah.
If that happened, absolutely, it's Illuminati.
But for educational purposes,
for educational, for
cryogen,
alleged
no one has been successfully defrosted
resuscitated,
or resuscitated in
brought
the
back
in
to
the
life.
60s.
Is it resuscitated or resuscitated? Resuscitation.
I think it's just a pronunciation different. Like, I don't.
whatever
Whatever.
it is.
No one's been brought back from being frozen. No one's been defrosted successfully. So you can make your own assumptions on that. If you are deep diving into conspiracies, I hope you guys enjoyed this one.
Yeah. So a question for you guys now at the end, because we're doing like a whole question every episode now. This is what we sat down and talked about. What do you guys think? Like, do you think that he's underneath Cinderella's castle? Do you think it's just his head? Do you think that head is chairing the Illuminati meetings? Because like that's what I think. Or
Imagine it's just literally a box with his head,
and it's
he's
just
like
there.
head at the table.
listen, let us know what you think.
And he's like, I think it's time to put Diddy away. And they're like,
Dude.
and he has like little minions that are like, they like go off and find Diddy. Diddy's like a whole, I can't wait to get into Diddy. But anyway,
Diddy.
I hope he gets locked up. I don't even care if he didn't actually do it. I fucking hate him.
There's no way that he didn't do it.
1,000 bottles of baby oil.
I'm like, when I saw that and I was like, damn, are you ever
1,000 bottles of baby oil is insane.
Are you ever on Twitter? I heard the most disturbing
No, what was it?
audio today.
No,
Because me being the fucking dumbass that I am, saw something and it said something about Meek Mill. There's audio of Meek Mill being like assaulted, basically, and you can hear the audio. And I was like, oh,
wait, what is it?
it sounds so bad. Like I can't. I'm gonna have to play it for you after. We could talk about it in the next episode. But for now, we're going to say goodbye. And I'm also going to say, make sure you follow us and go over to YouTube and subscribe. If you're searching for us on YouTube, search On the DL with Danielle and Linda. It'll be easy. It'll be easier for you to find us.
Yes.
Also, go over to the socials, on the DL.pod on both Instagram and on TikTok. We will be posting again. We sat down the other night and we talked about a schedule for us to be like doing shit. There'll be more polls. They'll come back up. We're going to ask more questions. And we really want to hear from you guys. So please do that.
And until next time.
Bye.
Bye.